Dr. K. Sendil Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, Loganatha Narayanaswamy Government College, Ponneri, Chennai. He has done PhD in Material Science at Anna University, Chennai. He has 17 years of teaching experience. He has published 5 articles in national and international conferences and journals. He attended more than 14 conferences and workshops in all over India.
Welcome to UGC lecture series. Let us see the topic quantum mechanics. Today's objectives of this session is quantization of energy levels by Frank Hertz experiments, wave nature of matter by means of de Broglie hypothesis, de Broglie wavelength, then what are the other forms of de Broglie wavelength can be deduced from the de Broglie wavelength. Now, wave nature of atomic particles by Davison and Germer experiment. First we will see Frank Hertz experiment. What is the importance of Frank Hertz experiment? We can see the quantized nature of energy levels of atom. So, Frank Hertz experiment demonstrating the quantized nature of energy levels of atom. Let us see the experimental setup of Frank Hertz experiment. So, this figure shows the schematic diagram of Frank Hertz experiment. The electrons are produced by a heated tungsten filament. These electrons are accelerated by a wire mesh G kept at a distance of few centimeters from the filament. The wire mesh is kept at a positive potential V, which can be varied. There is a plate B behind the wire mesh, which was kept at a small negative potential, so that very low energy of electrons after passing through this mesh G would not reach the plate P. A typical variation of plate current as obtained by Frank and Hertz with the voltage V is shown in figure. Now, let us see the detailed information from the figure. This is the tungsten filament, which is heated by the variable potential. This arrow mark refers to the variable potential. We can vary the potential. So, this will, when it is heated up, this will emit the electrons. Then this G, this is placed just away from this for few centimeters. This is connected in a positive potential. That means that this is connected in between positive terminal of the battery. Then beyond this wire mesh G, there is a collector plate. This plate is maintained at negative potential. That means this plate is connected in negative terminal of the battery. If the energy of the electron is very small, these electrons after passing through this wire mesh will not be collected by this collector current. So, the mechanism is very simple. When we give a potential, the filament will be heated up, this will emit the electrons, then electrons passing through and through the wire mesh and will be collected by the collector plate. Then the flow of electron, we call it as a current. The current measurement can be observed by means of this ammeter. Now, we can draw a plot between the voltage between F and G and the electric current. What is F and G? This G is a wire mesh, this F is a tungsten filament. In between this, what is the voltage we are giving? Then corresponding electrons emitted, then current will be noted. So, we are drawing a plot between this voltage and the current observed in the ammeter. Now, let us see the explanation. We shall draw the plot between the voltage between F and G and the electric current. So, what we observe from this graph? From the beginning, when the voltage increases slowly, then electric current increases exponentially and dropped at 4.9 voltage. That is, when voltage reaches 4.9 voltage, electric current suddenly dropped, then again rises up to 9.8 voltage, that is the electric current exponentially increasing up to 9.8 voltage. Then after reaching this 9.0 voltage, there will be a sudden drop, then again increasing. So, what we observe from this, whenever this voltage increases, whenever voltage reaches 4.9 voltage or at the multiple of 4.9, multiple of 4.9 means 1 into 4.9 4.9, 2 into 4.9 becomes 9.8 and 3 into 4.9 becomes 14.7 voltage. So, what we conclude from this plot, whenever the voltage reaches 4.9 or at the multiple of 4.9, then there will be a sudden drop in the electric current. Why? This can be easily observed. This was due to the fact that the electrons attaining 4.9 electron volt of energy excite the mercury atom and lose its entire energy and are no more electrons collected by the plate. Indeed, when the mercury atom de-excites itself, it produces a photon of wavelength 2536 Armstrong unit, for which we have got a equation E is equal to h nu, that is equal to h c by lambda. This equation we know, already we have seen, this is a Planck's equation. Then nu is equal to c by lambda we can substitute. So, h c by lambda we have got. Now, you substitute the values of Planck's constant, velocity of light and wavelength of the emitted light from the mercury de-excitation. We have got the values and we have substituted. So, we have got the final equation, that is final value of this energy E is equal to 4.9 electron volt. So, this is the reason why we have got 4.9 electron volt. Only when there is 4.9 voltage or at the multiples, the electric current suddenly dropped. Here we have seen 2536 Armstrong unit. What is this 2536 Armstrong unit? We are supposed to know what is meant by excitation, what is meant by de-excitation. When these electrons attaining 4.9 electron volt of energy, then this gets excited. That means that this is just move from lower energy state to higher energy state. If there is a transition between lower energy state to higher energy state, that is called de-excitation, and vice versa. It is from higher energy state to lower energy state, that will be de-excitation. Whenever there will be de-excitation, there will be emission. So, this emission we have got here 2536 Armstrong unit. One Armstrong unit value is 10 power minus 10 meter. So, that is why for 1 Armstrong unit we have substituted 10 power minus 10 meter. So, E is equal to 4.9 electron volt. Thus, the Frank-Hertz experiment confirms the discrete energy states of the mercury atom. Similarly, the Frank-Hertz experiment was performed using other atoms also, not only for mercury. Now, let us see wave nature of matter. Matter at the atomic and nuclear or microscopic level reveals the existence of variety of particles which are identifiable by their distinct properties such as mass, charge, spin and magnetic moment. I can easily explain to you what is meant by matter. Anything that exists, that has some volume, that occupies some space, then we call it as a matter. So, that is why we used to say the matter may be a mass, charge, spin and magnetic moment. All of these seem to be of a quantum nature, in the sense that they take only certain discrete values. This discreteness of physical properties persists when particles combine to form nuclei, atoms and molecules. Now, let us see de Broglie hypothesis. We know that the quantum theory was able to explain the light waves in terms of packets of energy known as quanta or photons, as we have seen in the black body radiation. The phenomena like interference, diffraction, polarization, these are all the phenomena are called optical phenomena which involves optics, are explained based on the wave nature of light. However, the phenomena like photoelectric effect, Compton effect, Zeeman effect, etc. are explained based on the particles nature of light. So, previous sessions also we have seen this particle nature of this wave, light wave, that is we have seen photoelectric effect as well as Compton effect. Therefore, the radiation of light behaves like a wave as well as particle. Thus, the wave particle property of light radiation is known as dual nature of light. Dual means two. The emitted radiation of light has got two nature, one is a wave, another one is a particle. That is why we used to say dual nature of light. The concept of which is prompted by de Broglie, that is why he proposed the idea of matter waves. Then we should know what is meant by matter waves. The waves associated with a material particle are called as matter waves. Now, let us derive de Broglie wavelength. We have to derive the de Broglie wavelength by considering one is a wave nature, another one is a particle nature. Now, let us see one by one. First one is by considering the photon as a wave. The energy of the photon is given by E is equal to h nu. This we know we have got from Planck's equation. Then second, by considering the photon as particle. So, this is what we used to say dual nature of light. The energy of photon is given by E is equal to mc squared, Einstein's mass energy relation. So, in first case left hand side we have energy, second case left hand side we have energy. If left hand sides are equal, right hand side should be equal. So, on comparing these two equations, we can write mc squared is equal to h nu. Then 1 c you take this side. So, mc is equal to h nu by c. Then what is mc? Mass into velocity. Mass into velocity gives linear momentum, which is denoted by the letter p. So, p is equal to h nu by c. Then we can write p is equal to h by lambda. Why? Nu by c is equal to lambda, that we have got from this equation, since nu is equal to c by lambda, then nu by c is equal to lambda. This lambda goes here, this nu comes here, then lambda is equal to c by nu. So, nu by c is equal to h by lambda. So, p is equal to h by lambda, then lambda is known as a wavelength, therefore, lambda is equal to h by p. So, this lambda is called de Broglie wavelength. So, what is the value of de Broglie wavelength? So, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by p. We can have too many forms, we can have physical quantities. Correspondingly, we can write the de Broglie wavelength based on their physical quantities, say for example, energy, voltage and temperature. Now, let us see one by one what are the other forms of de Broglie wavelength can be written. The first one is de Broglie wavelength in terms of energy. We know the kinetic energy of the particle can be written as E is equal to half m e square. Now, multiplying this equation by the letter m on both sides. So, E becomes E m, then half m becomes m squared v squared. Then 2 taken here. So, 2 E m is equal to m squared v squared. So, m squared v squared is equal to 2 E m and m v is equal to square root of 2 E m. After multiplying m we have Em is equal to half m squared v squared. So, m squared v squared is equal to 2 Em, then mv is equal to square root of 2 Em. So, in de Broglie wavelength, therefore, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by p, p we have got square root of 2 Em. So, lambda is equal to h by square root of 2 Em. So, similarly, we can write de Broglie wavelength in terms of voltage. If a charged particle of charge E is accelerated through a potential difference V, then the kinetic energy of the particle given by E is equal to half mv squared. We know that energy also can be expressed in by means of electron volt. Hence, E is equal to E into V. EV is represented by electron volt. So, again equating half mv squared is equal to EV, multiplying both sides by m. So, we get m squared v squared is equal to 2 m EV, then mv is equal to square root of 2 m EV. So, de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by square root of 2 m E into capital V. Then again de Broglie wavelength in terms of temperature. The kinetic energy of the particle is given by E is equal to half mv squared. In thermodynamics, the energy of the particle at temperature T can be written as E is equal to 3 by 2 kBT, where this kB is called Boltzmann constant. Again equating half mv squared is equal to 3 by 2 kBT, then multiplying both sides by m, we have got m squared v squared is equal to 3 m kBT. So, m is equal to square root of 3 m kBT. So, from this we can write de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by square root of 3 m kBT. So, now let us see the wave particle duality. We have seen de Broglie wavelength in various forms. Next, we have wave particle duality, that is dual nature of light. This is already we have seen, but based on this we have some topics. So, we supposed to know the flow chart. So, light can be considered as two, one is a wave, another one is a particle. So, wave nature can be explained by means of interference, diffraction, polarization. Similarly, particle nature can be explained by means of photoelectric effect, Compton effect, emission and absorption of spectrums. Next, we will see Davison-Germer experiment. What is the importance of this experiment? So, this experiment proved the wave nature of atomic particles. This is a diagram, schematic diagram of Davison-Germer experiment. So, here we have accelerating potential, we can vary this accelerating potential. This electron gun means this will emit the electrons. So, the electrons falls on the nickel crystal, that is incident beam electron falls on the nickel crystals, incident normally means exactly perpendicular to this plane of the crystal. So, should be right angle, that is why it is normal. Then we have got scattered electrons. So, there is a detector and galvanometer which collect the scattering electrons, but this detector and galvanometer will collect the scattering electrons only the elastic scattering electrons. This will not collect inelastic scattering electrons. That means, we know already elastic and inelastic. Then this curved line shows intensity variation of the scattered beam. So, we have seen schematic diagram of original experimental setup of Davison-Germer. In the experiment, an electron beam that is accelerated by a variable potential was incident normally on a single crystal of nickel. Then we have seen a collector, that is a collector was designed to accept only elastically scattered electrons, not inelastically scattered electrons. Figure shows the intensity variation as a function of phi for a different accelerating potential. Phi represents the angle between the incident and the scattered beams. This is nickel crystals. All these dots represents the lattice or lattice points. So, this is electron beam incident and falls on a plane of atoms and get scattered, then the angle between the incident beam and the scattered electrons represent phi. There is a bisector, we have got this is phi by 2, this is also phi by 2. So, for various accelerating potential, this 44 voltage represent accelerating potential. For various accelerating potential, we have the intensity variations, 44 voltage like this, 48 voltage like this, 54 voltage like this. So, what we observe from these accelerating voltages, in which one we have got the variation is more at 54 voltage, that means the accelerating potential is 54 voltage, we have got more variations in intensity. It may be seen that for 54 electron volt, the scattered electrons intensity is maximum, which occurs at phi is equal to 50 degree. What is meant by phi? We have seen the angle between the incident electron beam and the scattered electron beam. Now, 2 theta is equal to phi minus phi. So, 2 theta is equal to phi is here 180 degree minus what we have seen as phi is 50 degree, this we have to take there. So, 50 degree, that is equal to 180 minus 50, 130 degree. So, 2 theta is equal to 130 degree, then theta is equal to 65 degree. That is why we have written theta is equal to 65 degree. Thus, the Bragg angle is given by theta is equal to 65 degree. Further, for 54 electron volt electrons, use of non-relativistic formula will give accurate results, and therefore, the corresponding de Broglie wavelength is given by lambda is equal to h by square root of 2 capital E into m. If we substitute those values, Planck's constant value 2, the energy we have seen 54 electron volt. When you want to change the electron volt into joules, we have to multiply with charge of electron. The value of charge of electron is 1.602 into 10 power minus 19. So, this is 54 electron volts 2 E m, then m is mass of the electron. So, 9.109 into 10 power minus 34. So, if we calculate and simplify, we get lambda is equal to 1.6 Armstrong unit. We have taken the crystal, that is the specimen is made up of nickel. So, nickel crystal, the value of D, that is spacing between adjacent lattice, D is equal to 2.15 Armstrong unit, and the interplanar spacing will be given by calculating like this. D is equal to capital D sin phi by 2 is equal to 2.15 Armstrong unit D value, then sin phi value is 50 degree. So, phi by 2 is 25 degree. So, 0.909 Armstrong unit we have got for this small d. This is the interplanar spacing. The Bragg angle theta is equal to 65 degree. Thus, the Bragg's equation is given by lambda is equal to 2d sin theta, that is equal to 1.65 Armstrong unit, which compares well with the previous equation. Thus, the experiment proves the wave nature. So, what we have seen in the Davison-Germer experiment, nickel crystal we had, then incident electron and scattered electron. We have calculated the angle between these two. Then we have deduced the final equation lambda, that is value of 1.65 Armstrong unit. This is in good agreement with theoretical results. So, we can say the experiment proves the wave nature. Thus, the Davison experiment proves the wave nature. Now, let us see what is a wave and what is a wave packet, then how wave description of particles by wave packets. What is a wave? A wave is anything that moves. We can say our traditional understanding of a wave by means of this diagram. We are having a thread. one end of the thread is with me. If you disturb the thread, you can observe this pattern. So, this we call it as a wave. What we used to say as a wave here, the particles energy distribution, the propagation, the particles gets propagated in a medium, that we call it as a wave. Whereas, here the traditional understanding of a wave, anything which moves we call it as a wave. So, from this we define what we define, the delocalized spread out in space and time, which is known as wave. Now, let us see how to construct a wave packet. If several waves of different wavelengths or frequencies and phases are superimposed together, one would get a localized wave packet. I will explain from this diagram. This is one wave, this is another wave. Likewise, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. Each wavelength is different. We know that if wavelength is different, frequency is different. All these wavelengths superimposed together and we form a wave packet. In the wave packet, not necessarily all the waves should have the same velocity or wavelength. So, this is wave packet, these are all the individual waves. So, two or more individual waves interfering with each other or superimposing with each other, we get a wave packet. So, now let us define the wave packet. A wave packet is a group of waves with slightly different wavelengths interfering with one another in a way that the amplitude of group of non-zero neighborhood of the particle. So, that is the wave packet. Now, let us summarize what are the topics we have seen in this session. First, we have seen Frank-Hertz experiment, then we have seen the importance of Frank-Hertz experiment, quantization of energy of a atom. Then we have seen de Broglie wavelength, we have derived de Broglie wavelength, then we have seen other forms of de Broglie wavelengths in terms of energy, voltage and temperature. Then we have seen what is a wave packet. Before that, we have seen Davison and Germer experiment for identifying the wave nature of the particles. Now, let us see what are the questions can be asked from this session. What is the importance of Frank-Hertz experiment? What is the importance of Davison-Germer experiment? Derive de Broglie's wavelength. Write other forms of de Broglie's wavelength, namely voltage, temperature and energy. So, these are all the topics we have seen. Rest of the topics we will see in the next session. Thank you for your kind attention.